All right, there we go. There we go. We're trying something new this week. Because Twitch, I was getting no love on Twitch, so we're trying to do the Instagram thing. Oh, I see myself. Never mind. We are good to go. Hey, what's happening? Oh man, I feel like it's been a minute. How are y'all doing out there? It's time. It's time. It's time. Um, New music is usually what we talk about on Tuesdays, but 2000, the year 2000, a very great time in music, a very great time in hip hop specifically. And I want to talk about it. I want to talk about one of my favorite albums of 2000 and how it's going to be turning 25 years old on the 28th. So, yes, you got 3 days. So, was that this Saturday? Yeah. And it's only right. And before we get to that, though, made in the 1980s. Pow, pow. Made in the 1980s, the podcast, the audio goes live every Friday morning. And the video, exclusively to YouTube, goes live every Saturday morning. And excuse me. And we hope you watch. We got a lot of nostalgia in play. If you see the new look, you're going to see the old look on this coming week's episode because I record ahead of time. So don't think that we are repackaging the dope and stepped on. No, it's the pure uncut. You know what I'm saying? I'm guessing that's how Yo Gotti would say it. But today, man, I want to talk about Common's Like Water for Chocolate album 25 years later. I haven't done as many of the 25-year albums as I would like to. I want to catch this one in real time because originally I was going to do D'Angelo's Voodoo because that's one of my favorite R&B albums ever in life. But if I can catch an album within the time frame that it's actually dropping, and I want to do that. And I want to do that for this album because it's very important to me. One, because it's a phenomenal body of work. But two, because I always come prepared. I am here to possibly debate, even argue that this is Common's best album ever. Ever. And yes, for all of you that are going to tell me, what about B? What about the B album? Well, that's probably the only album you know. So there's that. And I don't necessarily measure a lot of artists' catalog by their success. And this is one of the great reasons why, and we're going to get into a lot of it. So everybody that's going to say B when you see this off top, I'm here to challenge you because I know Google is going to be right in your face, and you'll probably name the discography in front of me, but I think you're saying that more because of Kanye West than the actual music that's on the album, even though that's a very dope album. Matter of fact, Common was at the House of Blues. He performed the entire B album, and he also did some joints from One Day to All Make Sense. And I think Like Water. And that was one of the greatest shows I had seen in my life at that time. Still one of the stand-up performers. I think Common is one of the greatest live performers that I have had the pleasure of seeing more than 2 or 3 times. And he's never done the same show twice. And he always gives an impeccable and incredible performance if you go to see him. Doesn't matter the size of the venue, because I also seen him at Northerly Island, and I seen him at House of Blues, and I seen him somewhere else. I can't remember. And great show every single time, and it was not the same show. So let's get down to business, shall we? March 28th, 2000. Common, officially formerly known as Common Sense. But he had to drop the Sense because of a legal dispute with a reggae band that had the same name as he did. So rather than going over the battle for the name, he decided to shorten it, and it became Common. And for his 4th album, he dropped the Sense and he dropped the title Well, he dropped the name, and he dropped his fourth album, Like Water for Chocolate. Now, funny things that I want to say about this this album cover specifically. Obviously, a black girl drinking from a black woman, I'm sorry, drinking from a colored only water fountain is not funny. But I do believe this album started a lot of fake wokeness, if you will, because I remember, and I don't remember the name of the person, but I remember people trying to tell me about the album that I had actually purchased. And I'd done the knowledge, as they say, right? And they were trying to tell me that the photo was from a book called Like Water for Chocolate about like black struggle and whatever, what have you. And I was like, oh, okay, that's dope. No, that's awesome. Um, at that time, I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't pressed to read that. Um, and good thing I wasn't, because hey, they were wrong. They were absolutely wrong. All that shit, false. Never happened. Not real at all. The photo is its own separate thing, and Like Water for Chocolate, the book and film was about a Spanish lady who enjoyed cooking. Yeah, sorry, no black struggle there. Not even blacks in it. Sorry, you were wrong, person who tried to give me the game. Like, I don't know what was today's mathematics. Have no clue. Have no clue. I grew up Christian. So that was funny, but at the end of the day, I was here for the music. Again, what this is, what, March 2000. So I'm 19. I am 19 years old. Wait, no, I'm 18 still. I'll be 19 in a couple months. So I'm 18 years old. I'm fresh out the house, like out the house. I live in Carroll Stream now. It's a suburb of Chicago because I was going to school out there. And I tied this album to a lot of very cool memories. Some with me and my guy Rob. He'll be name dropped probably a couple times during this live, because this was one of our albums. This was one of the albums that I think we became tighter friends over, and also it was the relatability of just riding around to this and going out to kick it, because we knew we were never going to hear the songs on this album out at any of the clubs that we were going to at the time, and we weren't supposed to be in the club, so that was also a thing, right? But this album for me is the real true like start of the motion of the Soulquarians movement. Now, because I know people like to correct you before you get your whole statement out. Listen, I am not oblivious. I know technically you can look back at the careers and the catalogs of all the artists that were involved in the Soulquarians and easily say that this all started in 1997, right? Because I believe Erykah Badu's debut album is out then. I know for sure Sound Bombing is out in 1997. Then 1998, you got a Tribe Called Quest final album at the time, The Love Movement, which Jay Dilla is on, and Black Star is on, and Punch and Wordsworth, and all those guys are on there. Then you got the Black Star album that comes out in 1998. Common is all over that album. And then 1999. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, 1999. Yes, I am still right. 1999. Then you have Q-Tip Amplified, that album, because Q-Tip's originator of Native Tongue, and now he's a part of the Soulquarians movement. And The Roots, Things Fall Apart, 1999. So all of those albums, was I named like 5 or 6 albums. Those albums all come out before this. Oh, and I can't forget 1997, Common Sense. One Day It'll All Make Sense. Erykah Badu's on that album as well. So there's music. But I think when we get to 2000, Because January 2000 is when Voodoo by D'Angelo drops. And then there's like, okay, wait, what's happening here? But when you get to March of 2000, for me, this is where the movement gets legs. Because, with respect to everybody in that crew, because great music was out. I think they just all knew each other then. I think they knew each other and they were collaborating, but it wasn't a group thing. It wasn't trying to become a movement at all. So for me, March 28th of 2000, I truly think the movement that is the Soulquarians movement it becomes a force and it gets real motion with Common's Like Water for Chocolate album. That's my personal assessment. And hey, look, and I'm open to being wrong, but the sonics of this album is why I say that. And we'll get into that real quick. But now let's take a brief intermission for a conspiracy theory, if you will, right? One of my conspiracy theories was always that I felt like record labels hijacked the Soulquarians movement and created a genre called neo soul. That was my thought, because they would use that to package, oh hey, here's Jill Scott and India.Arie. Yeah, they do music like Erykah Badu and Bilal, and they'll be like, oh yeah, music soul child. You could hear him with the Roots, right? You would love to hear him on a Dilla beat, wouldn't you? Or couldn't he sing a hook on a Black Star song for you guys? I always thought that they hijacked that, much like I felt like the Native Tongues as a crew was hijacked by labels and repackaged as, quote, conscious rap. Because, you had Tribe, Jungle Brothers, Brand Nubian, Black Sheep, Moni Love, De La Soul, Queen Latifah, but that was also their way of like, hey, listen to X Clan, or, listen to Public Enemy, like the guys that aren't rapping about the brews and the 40s and the guns. So I've always felt that way. But hey, listen, as far as Soulquarians, I was wrong. I was wrong. See, look, part about doing these reviews and talking about them in real time is just realizing the times when you were also wrong. Because Questlove actually says that for me, it was an iconic picture and an iconic cover. When in September of 2000, when they did the photo shoot for, I think it was Vibe magazine, when they did the Soulquarians Vibe magazine, it was Common, it was Dilla, Erykah, Bilal, James Poyser, Questlove. I think Q-Tip was on there, Black Thought, Mos Def, another guy. Matter of fact, I got the picture as a thumbnail. Y'all make sure y'all check out the thumbnail. All right. And he's saying that actually that was the beginning of the end of the Soulquarians. Like they kind of self-destructed because it originally started out as a piece, an editorial piece on just Questlove. And he was working with like 17 different artists at the same time. So not only was he about to really come up and be recognized as one of the great producers going into the new millennium, but he was about to get like his just due, and he didn't really want it. And he felt that D'Angelo, I'm sorry, also on there, and he also felt that he should be the person. He shouldn't be the only person representing what's happening. So he's like, "Yo, put James on here, put Dilla on here, put D'Angelo on here." And so he invited everybody for the shoot, but then they didn't have a name. He's saying they didn't have a name. They were just saying Soulquarians. It wasn't like their group. So we literally manufactured that. We, the people, the audience, the listeners, based on that magazine cover. Because people, and he was saying something to the effect of, well, I guess I'm not in your group anymore, or I don't work for you. I'm not in your group, or I'm not an Aquarian, or like whatever this is. And it just caused a rift. I mean, hey, look, artists are sensitive, we know that, but that's why. But emotional music is the best music. People with real emotion, real feelings, when they come out and they actually do their music, it makes it better. It makes it better for it to be that way. Unfortunately, that is what truly led to the demise of what we were given as the Soulquarians. So that's unfortunate. um Wildly enough, though, I totally get it. Hey, look, I've been a part of things that have happened or not because of a name or lack thereof, or because somebody feel left out because they weren't on this session, or they didn't do this thing, or you know, they didn't want to just put their name on the group project or whatever, what have you. So I totally understand how that could unfortunately be the demise of a really cool and positive movement. And I say cool and positive because for the most part, um, this that whole era of music, that 97 to 2000, let's say five, right? That whole period of music, that was as good as the balance was going to get. And we didn't know that yet. You know, there for every, so what we're going late 90s. So for your Mace, your Puff, your J, Beans, and Snoop, Dog Pound, and you have Common, you have Most Def, you have uh damn Red and Method Man, even though they're not there, but kind of in that space. You have Black Thought and the Roots, you have all these other artists that, hey, give you something alternative to listen to. And unfortunately, it kind of fizzled out after this. But we can save all of that for another time, because now it's really officially time to really talk about this album and how phenomenal it is. Comments Like Water for Chocolate, 25 years later. 25 years later, and I listen to this album as I listen to every album before I go live and before I give you my thoughts and my notes and my opinions and all this. I still got to say, 25 years later, I listened to this album. And to me, this is still, hands down, the best Common album ever. Ever. B is a great album. And I don't want to be short-sighted in that. And to be real, I'm honestly not upset if people want to make that the best album because of the conciseness of it, right? It's what, 10, maybe 11 tracks, and they're all very undeniable. There's no real build. It's just join after join after join after join. And then there's bangers too, though. Bangers. Kanye goes crazy on that album, and it should be recognized and respected. But what I love about Like Water for Chocolate is that it sounds like One Day It'll All Make Sense on steroids. And until, well, it's not fair because that's album number 3. But One Day It'll All Make Sense is a very underrated album. It's a very underrated album. And I wish more people would listen to that, because You May Only Know reminded me of Seth off that album, and the joint with Lauryn Hill. And nobody ever killed, matter of fact, real quick, nobody ever killed Common for doing exactly what y'all killed Mike Jones for doing, which is saying the same thing 3 times in the middle or at the end of a verse. We never killed him. We never killed him for saying $315 ain't worth your soul. $315 ain't worth your soul. $315 ain't worth your soul. $315 ain't worth it. Like, we never killed him for that. But yet Ice Age and Rap a Lot, Pimp a Hoes in the Parking Lot. My, you know what I'm saying? Like we killed Mike Jones for it. I never understood that. But let's get back to the task at hand here. So listen, um, B can be number two, One Day for three, but off the undeniable sonics, the eclectic sounds, they're really pushing the envelope for music on Like Water for Chocolate, and that's why it's number one for me. Hip hop heads unite, right? I get it. You know, Like Water for Chocolate is a lot of things that y'all expect albums to be today, where you gotta have the the hard beat that blends into the soulful joint, that blends into the something that you can sing over. It's got to have great hooks, great vocals. There's a lot of things implemented in the sound of this album that are, dare I say, industry standards for good albums or better today. And that is why I have it as number one. This album is truly ahead of its time, and to uh to ignore that is just the ultimate brand of disrespect, man. You just cannot do that. You can't ignore this. And even though you couldn't tell by the first single where this was going, what you get when you purchase the album is is just phenomenal. Like when this album was first being dropped, the promo, the single, like the single and the promo, because the promo was in the single, right? And vice versa. It was the Sixth Sense, produced by DJ Premier, and that was the selling point. Hey, DJ Premier and Common. And they got you. This is rap for real. Something you feel. They had the he scratched the Prodigy illustrious joint, like the verse from Illustrious on the Murder Music album. Bilal, I think, is singing all over the hook with the scratching. It sounds incredible. It sounds incredible, but little did I know after seeing that video on the box, because we didn't have cable like that in the apartment for the students. Little did I know after seeing that would be just a very good, but I would say mid-tier song on this album. Would be mid-tier. And that's saying a lot, because obviously you can't go wrong with a Primo produced single. It bangs. My guy Sam and I, we often joke about this, is that the Sixth Sense, much like a couple other songs, Common was always mentioning getting Arabs, getting food from Arabs. Like, he was always like, I think through the first four or five albums, I think if you listen, uh, he always copping burgers and fries from Arabs. And I know it's Arabs, but that's what he's saying on it. He was like, in front of 2-inch glass and Arabs, I order fries. Inspiration when I write, I see my daughter's eyes. I'm the truth. And that's the kickoff of the second verse of the Sixth Sense. So if you ever listen to Common albums, just listen to how many times, like, look at what he's purchasing from Arabs every time he's rapping about Arabs. Okay. But this album, again, sonically amazing. I knew when I heard the Sixth Sense that I was going to get this album. That dropped in February. Nice little build up. Nice build up to the album dropping in March. Would I have caught the single? Yes, but again, LimeWire getting busy then. I think I was still Napster gang on there too. We have both. You can get Napster and LimeWire. So we just download it. We burn it until it's time to get it. So, by the time I get the album, I know your first single front to back. No shame in my game. This is how we're going to get it cracking, But When I get this album and I turn it on and time traveling starts the album, again, for me, again, I'm 18 years old. I ain't heard nothing like this before. This is it's just super funky, right? And immediately it does put me in the mind of D'Angelo's Voodoo album, which I thought was phenomenal at the time. So of course, me, because I'm still from that era, I read the credits. And as I read the credits, who's producing the intro? Time traveling? Well, D'Angelo, Questlove, James Poyser, and Jay Dilla. Now it all makes sense. Now it all makes sense. All puns intended. It makes sense now because I'm like, oh man, okay, so this is something different off the rip. And I don't believe, now I could be wrong, and I'm not counting bands when I say this because obviously the Brutes have, when they talk about producers, they have more than one person listed because there's, Hub on the bass, Kamal on the keys, and Questlove on the drums and things like that. But I don't recall me purchasing too many albums that had more than one producer on a specific song. And I'm even counting that for even Tribe albums because the Uma was D'Angelo and Q-Tip and Raphael Sadiq and Jay Dilla and Alicia Heat Muhammad. But you would be able to tell that, okay, Dilla did this one, Q-Tip did that one. And there wasn't a lot of co-production. It was just production under one name. But as this intro kicks in, the time traveling, I'm like, oh man, like I don't even know what I'm listening to, but you can't stop with that. And it's 6 minutes long. It's 6 minutes, 6 minutes of change long, but you just let it cook. You just let it rock. And for me, I hadn't heard rap music like that before. That was mind-blowing to me. So I couldn't wait to hear the rest of this album. And then we get right to it. Heat. Now, another sidebar here. A lot of people, when they say Jay Dilla is their favorite producer or Jay Dilla's top 10, top 5, top 3, number 1, a lot of people, they'll give you stuff that you know, right? They'll give you stuff that you know. Like, by now, he did the light. Well, I'm sorry, not for the album's sake. I'm talking about 2025. He did the light. He did Drop by the Far Side and Running. Can't keep running away. He did that. And he did Find a Way for A Tribe Called Quest. And there's some other joints in there too. But if you really want to know why Jay Dilla will not leave my top 10 for producers ever, look no further than this album. Look no further than this album. And again, the lyrics, we don't need to necessarily do a deep dive on a lot of it, but we'll talk about some of the songs. But off the rip, Jay Dilla produces at least 90% of this album, if not a little bit more, percentage-wise, however you want to break down percentages. It's only 16 tracks. This album is 16 tracks and with 1 hour and 17 minutes, 44 seconds, right? On that, you got Dilla, he's co-produced Time Traveling, which is the intro and the first song on the album combined. But then he produces Heat, which is track 2. Then Doing It, 4, The Light, 5, Funky for You, 6, The Questions, along with James Poyser. He produced both of those, Funky for You and The Questions with Poyser. Then he's the Time Traveling Reprise, of course, and then a film called Pimp, which we will talk about. Nag Champa, Thelonious, Payback as a Grandmother. Like, that's this album damn near does not happen without Jay Dilla, and it's some of the greatest production you will ever hear, especially when we're talking about a time where you think the world is going to end. Most of y'all were scared of Y2K. You know what I'm saying? You was probably in some bomb shelter with dehydrated food that you needed to add while you had to just add water, eggs, and you didn't think you would hear something this ill coming through your speakers in March of 2000, but it happened. You survived Y2K, and Jay Dilla is on one of the greatest production runs of his life. And he's on it, and he's been on it since 1996 for Lab Cabin, California, and A Tribe Called Quest Beats, Rhymes, and Life until now. It's one of the most incredible 4-year runs of production that you will ever hear. That is why Jay Dilla is in my top 10. While most of y'all top 10s didn't drop but one album in that entire time where he had 7 or 8 beats per album. But let's talk about the album. As we get into all of this, I think something that's very underrated, especially in a time where the beat is selling more than the lyrics, and people will take a style and they'll just carbon copy it and keep doing it. I think that this album also pushed Common the artist, not just the rapper, but the artist. Like, what do you want to talk about on this? And Heat and Cold Blooded doing it, those are just really just great displays of lyricism. If you were ever on the fence on how well Common rap between Can I Borrow a Dollar, Resurrection, One Day It'll All Make Sense, there is literal lyrical growth by track 4. You just hear it. He's like, yo, okay, he's rapping out of his mind right now. This is something different. He's not playing around lyrically on this. And then you get to The Light, track number 5, which ends up becoming the biggest song on this album, and it's not even close. And I don't even think it was set to originally be a single at first. I really don't. I don't think so. I think they had it might have been Ghetto Heaven. That was the original second single for this album. Now I could be wrong on that, and I don't mind being fact checked, but I'll tell you this. With The Light, the game changes for Common. I guess you could say forever. You could say forever. And that was one of the moments where I say I got educated on the music industry and how music is sold, how it's distributed, how it's promoted, and how it works. I didn't really know it at the time. I was just listening to it because, when you live in Illinois and you're like me, you're from Northern Illinois, but then you move to Chicago, you make Chicago friends. And even when you live in the burbs, when you kick it in the city and you learn about Chicago, Chicago is another planet music wise. They they're listening to 112, but they're listening to 3-piece just as much. They know who Jay-Z is, but Twister run this here. Crucial Conflict, Do or Die, Cap One, Bump J, Common, they like Shauna, Psychodrama, Brother Lynch Hung, that's what's running the city. Way more people know the words to Dicks Like Magic than they know Street Dreams. You know what I'm saying? By now, it's like, we know that they know Dicks Like Magic more than they know nothing but the G thing. That's just the culture of where you are. Like, Chicago is really self-contained to their music. So in my mind, Common is on fire. He's one of the biggest artists in the world to me, because all my Chicago homies are playing this album, or they're at least talking about it. So it's not occurring to me that he not really moving no units until he got the 106 in Park. So now, granted, we got the box, but then I think the Romance and I we got a smooth little upgrade, I believe. You know what I'm saying? Got the we pitched in on broadband cable. You know what I mean? So I was like, I ain't gotta watch the box. I can just watch the box in my room between Grand Theft Auto 3 breaks, you know? And eye-opening moment. The light is going crazy on 106 in Park. Crazy, like absolutely nuts. I think it's like been number one for weeks. Everybody is jumping up, screaming for it. Everybody is singing the hook, everything. He's shouting out Jay Dilla for producing the track. And as this song is scorching hot on this BET program, Common is on the couch talking about how he's never went gold for a song or an album. He has 0 plaques in 2000. That's what he's literally saying on the couch. And that just seemed impossible to me because I know a lot of my early conversations about rappers, specifically rappers in their cities. Like I was like, oh man, A Twister could go platinum in Chicago, but he hasn't, unless you're counting bootlegs, unless you're counting, just being on the West Side and just happening to hear and Twisted. I would be like, yeah, well, Jay-Z could just sell 1 million records in just New York, but he don't. And it's a wild notion, but yet it made so much rational sense in my mind. So as Common is talking about this album and how he really needs the sales, like, hey, go buy the shit that y'all saying y'all love so much on this program because I don't have a gold plaque for this. I don't I don't have anything tangible that says that this album and this song is as great as y'all are making it out to me right now. And I'll never forget the look on AJ's face. Like, what? He said, that's crazy. Like, how is that even possible? But hey, listen, I refer to good old Wikipedia here, just to make sure. Listen, for as much acclaim as this album got, critical acclaim, because that super mattered in the 2000s. This album only moved 70,000 copies in the first week. And now the plus is this one actually did go gold. It did go gold, and man, and thanks to the light. It had to be thanks to the light. So he definitely had did the due diligence that was necessary. You know what I'm saying? Because it is a certified gold album, and they do have it listed as being August of 2000, which is awesome, But that in itself is like, whoa, all that love. You still hear the light in clubs today, and that album is only gold. We got to do a better job of supporting the music we say we love so much, because I want to say, even from years later, it's still about 200,000 short of platinum, which, listen, I'm not a sales matters more than anything guy. I'm not. But there are certain albums that I believe that if you are going to say that you love hip hop or you love music or you love a certain artist, if you're such a fan of certain artists, I think there are certain albums from them that you should have. I'm on record. I don't think you need to have Can I Borrow a Dollar? I don't think you need to have it. I don't think you need to have Finding Forever or Universal Mind Control. I don't. But if you say you are a Common fan, if you're a fan of Common Sense, part of me believes that you probably should have Resurrection. You definitely should have One Day It'll All Make Sense. You definitely should have Like Water for Chocolate. And hey, and people are gonna think I'm crazy with this, but I think you should have Electric Circus. And we'll talk about that whenever you're ready. I'll be here as long as you want. Um, but no, this is groundbreaking. So like let's fast forward a bit. Let's fast forward through the album just a tad. Because I'm going track by track. I already told you about the Sixth Sense, so we don't need to talk about that. Premieres a genius. So a film called Pimp. This is featuring Bilal and MC Light. And I didn't know that MC Light was capable of sounding this phenomenal in 2000. I did not. But when I tell you that this is one of the best features, not only of this album, but probably of the year, you really need to listen to a film called Pimp. It's a song of, a pimp and a woman, because she doesn't want to be a hoe. Okay. Um, having a back and forth conversation about how he wanted to put her on the street, have her selling ass and oils. And she was like, I'm not selling my body for a dude in the kufi. That's not happening. We're not on that. It's a different type of time out here. And she was like, I'll pimp you. Like that's what will happen here. Like basically, like he's sweet, he's soft, he ain't on nothing. He he ain't built like that. And spoiler alert, because you should have listened, it's 25 years. You should have been listening to this. And so since the pimp hand ain't really getting to her, he can't convince her to hit the stroll for him. He ends the song with saying he's going to be a preacher. That's the most Chicago thing I think I've ever heard in my life at the time. It had to be. And I was like, yo, like, man, this is actually, I think I know some people have done this before, but I'm not here to name names because pimping is illegal, right? It ain't dead, but it is illegal. And but yes, if you want to hear a phenomenal feature from MC Light, I don't know if you're very well versed on MC Light, but man, does she sound great on this album. And then we segue into my two favorite songs on the album. And yes, they are produced by Jay Dilla. The 4-song run that Dilla goes on to from a film called Pimp to Payback as a Grandmother is insane. Like that was unbelievable. The beginning of the album sounds great, but then this transition from track 10 to 14 or 10 to 13, excuse me, I'm sorry. You'll be hard pressed to find one producer that's just a part of an album going this damn crazy. But Nag Champa, Aphrodisiac for the World. To this day, I will buy Nag Champa incense because of Nag Champa the song. And and I am not ashamed because this is one of the smoothest grooves ever. I remember, man, just driving, whether it was driving to the city or driving out to all the way out to West Chicago, because I used to go frequent a strip club called Diamonds out there. And because it was amateur night on Wednesdays, and I tried to see if there's any girls I knew that went to school that was also stripping there. I was 18. Stop. But I remember just having this on repeat. The beat is so smooth. Dilla singing on the hook. Oh, it's just incredible, dog. I can't really convey to you what the infectious sound of this does to me. And I'll tell you what, only two people in my lifetime have came into my life in some aspect and told me that they have the same affinity and affection for the song. And that's my guy Rob, because we were both talking about this song. And I think one day we was on the way somewhere and we just had it on repeat in the whip. And then the homie Drew Sean was talking about this. I think it was when the Universal Mind Control was out. We were in radio together, but he was like, "No, Nag Champa, that's the one." And I was just like, "Yo, my dog, you get it. You get it. And I probably, in poor taste now that I think about it, I asked Common a question about this song because in it he says, "I got my eyes on the tiger, eyes on the prize, eyes on the thighs of Mary J. Blige, imagining how good the cat must be." And then on Electric Circus, she's on the album. Yeah, messy time. But he laughed it off. It was funny. It was a good and funny moment. But Nag Champa, the beat and the hook alone are reasons to fall in love with this song easily. And then that segues into Thelonious. So now Thelonious with Slum Village. Now, full transparency, I know some people that do not like Slum Village at all. But Jay Dilla is slaughtering his own beat. There is a very high probability that Jay Dilla has the best verse on this album. And that's saying a lot because Common is going absolutely nuts on this album lyrically. But man, Jay Dilla he's producing over half the album. Then he's singing on the song before this, and then he starts rapping out of his mind on this Thelonious record, which also gets repurposed for Fantastic Volume 2. But the first time I heard it, it was on Comments Like Water for Chocolate, and will always show respect to that one first. And again, the album kind of moves on from there. If you listen to One Day It'll All Make Sense, Common did a 3-part series called Stolen Moments. We talk about being robbed and getting the stuff back. On this album, his grandmother gets robbed at the boat, and he has a great storytelling moment on here. And Common, really, really good storyteller. Really good storyteller. I don't think we highlight that enough because I really all of the songs. I'm sorry, all of the songs who close out the album are really good storytelling records. Payback as a Grandmother, Ghetto Heaven, and a song for Asada. Those were all his. For everybody that doesn't like the fact that he be doing all the well, I heard it being called Black History raps. Like they start here. They start here. It wasn't just for the fame. Like Common's been on that. The song for Asada is literally the start of that. And Ghetto Heaven. I mean, The Light is a storytelling record as well. But Common has always been a very dope storytelling MC. And nothing changes from here. And again, man, I think that as you listen to music and you listen to where music is, where it's going, and the artists and how they grow within it, I think that this album is the epitome of growth of like, okay, Common has arrived. If he didn't get you by the first 3 albums, this 4th album, Like Water for Chocolate, should have been the one where you'd be like, okay, I'm invested. I'm in. Okay, I'll buy what you're selling because this is funky right here. I mess with this. And with B being the 5th album, again, great because the Kanye engine can't be denied. But I think oftentimes people think that Common's career starts at B. And you're going to be missing a lot of great music if that's your take. Again, I don't love Can I Borrow $1? But Resurrection, One Day It'll All Make Sense, and especially Like Water for Chocolate, you have to listen to these albums. If you say you like Common, or hey, look, even if you don't really think you like Common, Listen to Like Water for Chocolate. See, because this is the adult contemporary rap that y'all be saying that y'all looking for now. Um, the thing about balance in music is listening to the other music, you know, street music, gangster music, drug music, reality rap, whatever you want to call it. It has such a loud voice and has such a large megaphone, if you will, and it gains so much legs and it has so many artists because that is what people are buying. Um, Unfortunately, a lot of artists like a Common or a Mos Def or even a Q-Tip, Tribe Called Quest. Look, they didn't sell a lot of units, you know, and eventually labels do want to make money. Again, I come in hip hop listening to Big Daddy Kane and LL Cool J through my mom, and then my first choice was a Tribe Called Quest. I had no idea that they weren't platinum. I had no idea. But the balance comes from taking a chance on music. And if you're not going to take the chance on music, then labels aren't going to sign artists for you to take a chance on. That's why the independent game is so ill right now. Because a lot of these men and women that are rapping the way you want to rap and you're wondering why they don't get enough pub. But boy, look, you're not even buying it from them. So now why would the label sign it? Think about those things. You want balance. Again, magically let the streams go up for Like Water for Chocolate. And people and the labels will be reactionary. And they'll say, oh wow, maybe people want to hear this type of stuff today. Go. I know y'all think Q-Tip went pop, but you should listen to the rest of Amplified. You should listen to um Things Fall Apart and to Beats, Rhymes, and Life, and to the Love Movement, and to Fantastic Volume 2. And hey, you know what? Hey, Black on Both Sides, and even Dude Ass and the Black Star album. Listen to it, because that is going to be the way that you get the balance that you're looking for. So, in closing, man, I just want to say thank you to Common. Common, thank you for dropping this incredible album, Like Water for Chocolate. Rest in peace, Jay Dilla, top 10 producer of all time. Look no further than this album if you need further clarification. Questlove, amazing work on this. James Poyser, incredible work on this album. D'Angelo, incredible work on this album. Bilal, vocals insane on this album. Premier, MC Light, uh, rest in peace, Ba 10, and peace to a T3, also on this album. CeeLo, Macy Gray, all on this album. This album is sincerely great in real time. So let y'all know that I'm not totally gassing it. Okay. The source, and this is when it mattered. The source gave this 4 mics, 4 out of 5. That's real. 4 out of 5. And that still holds true today. Even though, I don't like to do this, but with the right amount of promotion, this could have been a classic album. Instead, it has a classic record on it. It does. The light surpassed I Used to Love Her from Common as his biggest record at that time. And then he didn't outdo it numbers wise, because I was gonna say Come Close, but again, people didn't buy Electric Circus. So I say all that to, your ears won't lie to you on this one. If you have not heard this album, listen to it, go and buy it. I do still have the hard copy. I should have got up and showed it to you. I apologize because I did that for the Beans album, and I did not do that. Terribly sorry. But listen to Like Water for Chocolate 25 years later. Tell me if it still bangs. My answer is absolutely yes. I sincerely thank every single one of you for tuning into this live, no matter when you decide to tune into this live. And please know that always and consensually, It's love.